Now this episode had a lot of different cultural references in it, so we're going to break down a few of the scenes and go over the references that are in them. Check out this clip from one of the McBaine videos.
Nice to see you. McBaine!
So McBaine is a reference to the action heroes of the 1980s. Think Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were always extremely macho and ultra-violent. Looking back on the movies now, they were so over the top that they seem a little corny. Watch the scene of Mr. Burns and Smithers discussing the union representative.
Smithers, where's that union representative? He's 20 minutes late.
I don't know, sir. He hasn't been seen since he promised to clean up the union.
Whoa! What the hell?
This is a reference to Jimmy Hoffa, who was a union representative for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters from the late 1950s to the early 1970s. He's rumored to be buried beneath Giants Stadium in New York. Watch this clip of Homer imagining what his life would be like as the union representative.
Don Homer, I have baked a special donut just for you.
Grazie.
Don Homer, my son, he has a trouble with the...
Molto bene. That's a nice donut.
So this is a reference to the Godfather trilogy. The Godfather movies are American cinematic classics, and the story all revolves around the rise and fall of an Italian crime family in America. Watch this scene of Lisa being drugged before surgery.
Look, fellas, it's Lisa in the sky.
No diamonds, though.
Look out for the campy drawing of Queen Victoria. Oh, no!
Oh, God, help us. Help us.
So this is a reference to the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and the art style is exactly like that in the Beatles movie Yellow Submarine. Take a look at this clip where Lisa sees her braces for the first time.
The mirror. The mirror!
So this is a reference to the 1989 Batman movie. So in this movie, there's this really scary scene all done in shadows where the Joker takes off his bandages, demands a mirror, and starts laughing crazily.
Mirror.
Mirror!
You understand that the nerves were completely severed, Mr. Napier.
A Batman reference also shows up when Mr. Burns and Smithers are going down to their secret lab. This is a reference to the 1960s Batman show. It was really campy, and one of the things that they had in it were these labeled fireman poles that would take Batman and Robin to the Batcave. Take a look at this clip of Mr. Burns trying to deal with the strike.
Smithers, get me some Strikebreakers, the kind they had in the 30s.
We can't bust heads like we used to, but we have our ways.
So Mr. Burns asks for strikebreakers like they had in the 1930s, and what he gets are people who were probably strikebreakers in the 1930s. Now in this instance, a strikebreaker is someone who would go in and intimidate workers who are striking, sometimes violently. The joke here is that these strikebreakers would be wildly inefficient because they're just too old. Another type of strikebreaker are people who are hired by a company to keep the company going while people are striking. So they would basically do the work of the workers who are on strike. This kind of action would render the strike completely pointless. So while you can use the term strikebreaker for people like that, you're more likely to hear them referred to as scabs. Watch this clip of Mr. Burns reacting to the singing strikers.
Look at them all through the darkness I am bringing. They're not sad at all. They're actually singing. They sing without juicers. They sing without blenders. They sing without flungers, cap dabblers, and smendlers.
So this is a reference to the movie The Grinch, not the Jim Carrey one, but the original animated classic. The Grinch is a story by Dr. Seuss, and it's really beloved in America. They play it every year around Christmas time, and it's one of my personal favorite Christmas specials. They do a really good job here of mimicking the animation style of the Grinch, and also Mr. Burns is a really good character to do the Grinch with, because we use the term Grinch to describe someone who's, cruel and cold-hearted and has zero empathy for other people, and that's kind of Mr. Burns's character in a nutshell. Of course, in the movie The Grinch ends up becoming a really good character by the end, whereas Mr. Burns is always just horrible and cruel. Take a look at the ending clip of the show.
Oh, honey, you can hardly see your new braces. And that's the tooth.
Oops, I left the gas on.
So in this scene, Lisa says, "And that's the tooth," which is a pun on the phrase, "and that's the truth." It's not a funny pun. Even if you really like puns, which I personally do, this is not funny at all. But everyone starts laughing because the dentist left the gas on. So the gas that he's referring to is nitrous oxide, otherwise known as laughing gas, which some medical practitioners will use in order to numb pain and to relax people during minor surgeries. So since the dentist left the gas on, there's just nitrous oxide filling up the entire room, making everyone laugh at a really unfunny joke.